Welcome to Women of a Certain Stage, the podcast redefining how we think about menopause. I'm your host, Lauren Churin, a passionate advocate for breaking the stigma and empowering individuals to navigate this transformational stage of life with confidence and clarity. Here, we're diving into a new era of menopause support, featuring expert advice, real-life stories, and actionable insights. Whether you're curious about building your personal menopause plan or you're looking to make an impact, you're in the right place. Let's embrace the change together. I'm so super excited to have you here today. Laura, we met a number of years ago in another program. And back then I was a fledgling little menopause trainer, speaker, coach, and I was learning and soaking up all of your amazing storytelling secrets. And you had this amazing process that was so super simple to follow. And at the time, it helped me take everything I wanted to say, all those messages that were kind of stuck in my head that I wanted to get out of my head and share with other people, and put them down on paper so that I could then share them with the world. How did you come about to create that process and help people share their story?
Oh gosh. Probably unglamorous answer is just years of training and practice and studying and research. I've been a copywriter for a decade, and the first at least several years of that were really spent, soaking up every book I could read on the topic, buying every training course that I could read, getting certifications, having a mentor. All of the things that nobody wants to do. But it's really how you develop something. So I can't really speak to one epiphany moment where I was like, this is how people need to communicate their stories. It really was just investing in myself, both my time and my money, into becoming good at my craft. And then when you do that, it does sort of become second nature, to the point where there is, I feel like, this kind of shroud of mystery around, I don't know how I do that now, because it's just all of it combined.
Yeah. And it's fascinating. I was speaking to one of my menopause coach graduates this afternoon. We were doing a coaching session, actually, and we were walking through, she's a pharmacist and she's now graduated, and she's excited about taking the work out into the world. She's working with people, she's doing talks and exploring where can she work and what can she do. And she's got all these myriad of ideas of what she wants to do. She said, and I started an Instagram page. It's a business Instagram. And I'm really struggling to put messages down. And I went, oh, how interesting is that? Guess who I'm speaking to this afternoon? And I thought It's such a common hurdle for people, no matter what their background is. Everyone knows what they want to say, but they don't know how to say it. So What's the first thing that you do when you engage with people to help them get their thoughts out?
Yeah, well, the first thing that I want to do is just validate that, it's harder to do it. It's harder to see it from inside the bottle. So, just give yourself some grace that, it is hard to communicate your message for yourself. It's even hard for me to communicate my own message, right? So there is that. But then I think we just make it too complicated. At the end of the day, you want to be able to communicate the problem you solve, the result you create, how you have a different approach. And if you can do those three things and make it really simple and say them in really short, simple, clear sentences where you don't have to explain all of it, that's when you have your messaging really clear. And I think if you just don't make it too complicated, right? Don't try to get into all of the tricks and hacks and things like that, and just really focus on, am I communicating? This is the problem I solve. This is the result I create. And this is how I do it differently. You're going to be ahead of most people in marketing and messaging.
You make it sound so simple.
I know. Easier said than done. I understand that that's hard, but the moment that you feel like you have to go on and elaborate, if you need a full paragraph to explain to me what you do, then that's where it's a signal that there's more editing process to be done. And I will add to that some of that editing has to happen by doing the work, by doing practice. One of the things I love about your program is that students have practice clients, because what I find is that it's nearly impossible for business owners of any kind, but especially coaches, to kind of sit in a room and figure out their message and figure out how to talk about their message and like decide that by themselves on their own, or even with the support of like a chat GPT. Like it doesn't connect. The way that refinement happens is typically over the period of some time, some months, and by working with clients and hearing how they talk about their problems.
Yeah. And I think that's where you start. I noticed over the last 12 years that when I have finished coaching somebody and you get their reasons why they joined with you, the reasons, that they continued working with you, and then the outcomes and what they felt, what they experienced at the end of it. And when you put those into the different buckets of messaging, it helps you really start to see the patterns. It helps you see the kind of repeated messages, no matter what someone's background is. And one of the things I learned through working with you is that actually it's less about what job someone does, what town they live in, what age they are. It's more about who they are as an individual and what their personality, what their life experience. And I think often when I've worked with copywriters in the past, they've gone, right, let's get your avatar down, and your avatar has to have a name and an age. And actually, my people don't all have the same name or the same age, or when I'm speaking to that one person, when I'm writing a message, it is definitely, there's a collection of attributes that are relevant rather than a specific age or a name or location or price point, or any of those kind of things. And I'm curious, your way of working, like I'll have ideas and I'll send you messages and you come back with like this one liner, and it's like, I've gone, blah, 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 thought, should we do, could we do, would we do? And I come up with all this drivel, and you come back with one liner going, let's do it like this. And you just cut through the noise. You've got this magical art to literally just take a whole load of nonsense that I send you and then just go, no, let's do it. How about doing it this way? And you're so collaborative and so insightful with your messaging. It's your absolute superpower. And from what I understand is you work with a lot of consultants, a lot of coaches. How have you seen that industry change over the years?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. There was a lot there. To answer the easiest question is how I've seen this industry change over the years. I wasn't being hyperbolic when I said I've been doing this for a decade. I started out in writing copy for coaches and authors and speakers. Like I've been doing this particular style of marketing and copy for a decade. And I started in a marketing agency where we were doing it for coaches who had $1 million businesses plus, and then I broke off on my own. And so I've worked with people who are newer. So I've kind of worked the gamut of people at all different stages in their business and their career. And the thing that's interesting to me is that it's getting, I think, and I know this is going to sound hard to somebody who's struggling right now, but I think it's getting a lot easier. And hear me out on this. The demand for coaching is growing. Like when I first started, I remember it being kind of this like fringe, like I think coaches think coaching's mainstream. It's not. It's like weird. It's like, what's a coach? Why would you hire a coach? I remember when I first started, like I was investing in myself in some coaching and some support. And my parents were like shocked that I had invested the amount that I had invested. And they were like, well, you could get a car for that, right? Like, why would you do that? You could get a car for that. And I was saying like, yeah, and a car is going to depreciate. Like this is investing in my growth and in my future versus something that's going to depreciate. And so I think it's just, there's been this sentiment that's gone from like, what even is that? What do you do? Like I attend like weddings and things, and people would be like, we follow you on Facebook. We don't understand what it is that you do. Like this like, they don't get it, to now I've seen it be like, oh yeah, I worked with a coach, or, oh yeah, that really helped me. Or like even my sister who, like she's a C-suite executive, really went the traditional route, didn't have anything involved with coaching, right? That kind of thing. She's like, yeah, I need coaching. My team needs coaching. Like there's really this it's becoming more mainstream. There's this buy-in in the value that wasn't there before. So that's really how I've seen it change over time.
It's really fascinating because I remember having to try and explain what coaching was 12 years ago. I'd had an executive coach when I was in corporate, but when I was delivering coaching at the very beginning, it was trying to explain what it was and then explain to people, well, you don't become an Olympic athlete by doing it on your own, right? You have a nutrition coach, you have a performance coach, you have a strength training coach, you have all these multiple coaches. And when you've won the world, gold, Olympic, whatever medal, you dive down deeper and you work harder with your coaches. Just because you've got to world-class performance, you don't let go of your coaches. You kind of upping your game and upping the level and getting more coaches and getting more input. And often I think in the business world that people don't get that yet, that there's still a way to go. I mean, I have multiple coaches now.
They're starting to more is what
they are.
They don't, you're right. They don't fully get that yet. Like it's still not fully mainstream, but how far we've come in the last decade.
Amazing. 100%. And so, as we think about, coaching becoming more mainstream, one of the other things that's become really interesting is in the UK, when I went to university, our student fees were paid for us, but we might get a grant to go, or we might not get a grant and have to have a job or at university. And now students going to university have to pay their fees and they have to pay all their living costs and all their accommodation. And in the States, it's even higher, right? The costs to go to university are really super high. And yet people are coming out with huge debt and they're not necessarily workplace ready.
Yep.
So when you're working with your client base, what types of things are they perhaps offering that might be in alignment with a degree or perhaps instead of a degree? How do you see that evolving over time?
I really love this question because I think, as someone, obviously I live in the US, and as somebody who lives here and, went to college, got a graduate degree, got saddled with, 6 figures in student loan debt, because that's the reality here in the United States, and also spent, 6 years of time. So when we look at the ROI of, okay, I invested 6 years of time, which is actually the most valuable thing, and 6 figures of student loans that I'm going to be paying off for the next 20 years, it starts to go, that's not a great investment in my future. And then it doesn't really fool you. It doesn't make you like workplace ready, right? It's really just a degree at that point. So you don't really have marketable skills beyond an entry-level position. So as I'm advising young people, as I'm advising my daughter, as I'm looking at, I'm saying, maybe not, maybe not, maybe don't go that route, or maybe think, or maybe plan, if you are going to go that route, maybe plan on go ahead and spend the extra, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to add a credential that'll really make you workplace ready, that will really give you valuable marketable skills in the marketplace. So that the value difference is just like, I would rather spend a year going through a certification program or a training program, spend a fraction of the cost, and leave ready to do something meaningful in the world with skills that I'm ready to go use and create value on. So there's a big value difference. And I think that's why we talked a lot about how coaching is becoming more mainstream. I think that's part of why is people are starting to look at this and go, wait, this is infinitely more valuable for my future. The ROI for my future is way higher, and I'm getting to do something meaningful, something that I'm passionate about. So I love that question.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when I came out of corporate, the first time I retrained as a personal trainer and nutritional advisor, and, within a year, full-time study. I mean, it wasn't like a part-time online thing. It was in person, it was practical, it was hands-on, it was intensive. But I became a personal trainer and I became a nutritional advisor. Now, in the background of my corporate career, I was able to go and work with some very senior people. I was working with Dustin Hoffman, Anastasia. I worked with England rugby team. I traveled all over the world with that. And I made as much money doing that as I had done in my corporate career. So I get what you're saying. And then retraining now as a menopause coach, again, intensive program over a shorter period of time. But when someone trains as a menopause coach, they've got a couple of decades of adult experience under the belt, sometimes even more. And all they're doing is enhancing their life skills and enhancing their existing experience to be able to go and help other people through a time where they've maybe been through university, they've maybe been through college, they've maybe invested all of that. They might not even be using that in their workplace, and yet they're paying it off. And they may be at risk of everything going under, having the rug being pulled from under their feet, because for so many people, menopause comes along and it just feels like all of a sudden you're a shadow of your former self. You don't know which side is up. You might think, like I did, that you've got early onset dementia. And, having someone who's a menopause coach being able to retrain in a relatively short period of time, at a relatively low investment point, and then be able to go out and help people keep on track. And stay, on that trajectory of where they're going with their career is just been, it's just been such an amazing thing to watch so many people do. And interestingly, today I had a conversation with one of my grads. We were recording a podcast actually, and she had run an event in Boston last weekend, and 4 of my grads had got together and supported her at her event. So, being here in the UK and then watching all of them getting together over in Boston, it's just like, it just shows how it's growing and developing and going forward. But thinking about them, thinking about the challenges they have around their messaging, and thinking about, what would your top tips be for them when they're starting to plan how they go out into the world and let people know they're available to work with them?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I am going to go back and reiterate what I said earlier about working with clients and letting that refine your message over time. I think the biggest mistake that I see is coaches just like trying to hold up in their little hole and make it perfect before they go out. And so the same thing would be true when it comes to sharing your message more publicly, even beyond practice clients. So, don't wait for it to be perfect to start leveraging social media, to start don't wait to be good at video to start making videos. Don't wait to be good at storytelling to start telling your stories. Don't wait. And I know that maybe sounds counterintuitive from somebody who teaches people how to do that strategically. But really what I see with new coaches is that the process of refinement only happens in getting that feedback loop going. So I think that's the most important first step, is getting that feedback loop going. And then the second thing that I would say is don't try to tackle too much too fast. This is the other thing that I see happening. So on the same time, I'm like, get it going, get it out there. But then I see new coaches often make this mistake of maybe they're trying to post on all the social media platforms. Maybe they're trying to get their email list up and running. Maybe they're trying to create a lead magnet. Maybe they think they need a low-end trust offer. Maybe they think they're trying to build and create, and then they need a website that communicates their message, and they need all the things. So it's on one hand, my advice is get out there and start sharing your message. My other advice is do that in a very simple way, and then let that feedback loop kind of inform. I don't know if that answers what you were asking. I don't know if you wanted. It
does, but I'm going to slightly.
But it really is the first step.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here, which is slightly unfair for you, but I'm going to do it anyway. So okay. I'm curious then, grads from my program will come off. They've worked with at least 2 practice clients. They will have worked with up to 7 different other people to take them through my signature framework, the menopause plan, which they get to keep and use going forward. So they have a good amount of feedback by the point of graduation. Yeah. But in order to build that feedback, they have to go out into the world to tell people they're available to get the feedback. So what's the chicken and the egg here? How do we get people that are maybe sitting there going, I've never used social media before. I've got some feedback, but I need to get more feedback. So how do I go about getting more feedback to be able to create my messaging and understand what I need to say? How do we crack that one?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think, I will say shamelessly that they need to be in your program or a program like yours. They need to be getting that practice work, because that's really what starts that feedback loop, right? And so I guess I'm speaking from the perspective of they're getting that initial like refinement inside your program. And so as soon as they're starting to, graduate or coming close to graduating, or like really starting to work with not just practice clients, but other clients, that's when they really do need to start putting that messaging out there. They've already gotten some feedback. They'll continue to do more refining.
Yeah.
But it's then that they need to maybe pick like a platform, right? And maybe, to not try to do too much and be everywhere all at once and build, they don't need to build their entire business overnight, all of the rest of those things will come. But just start using a platform. And I recommend whatever they're most comfortable with. Right? So like if you're somebody who regularly uses and enjoys Facebook, start with Facebook. If you like Instagram, start with Instagram. If you like TikTok, start with TikTok. If you're uncomfortable on video, do text posts. If you're somebody who's like, I'd rather just say it than have to write it out, make videos, right? So it's like, start where you're most comfortable. You can always add things later, but just start simple. And I really can't stress enough that they need to go through your program first and have those, I'm just being realistic, and have those practice clients have that interaction, because that's going to inform what they say when they do go start posting on social media. Is they're going to know what the questions are, what the needs are, what people want to hear, what they're curious about. They're going to know that from having those practice clients.
Amazing. And I appreciate the complete plug for the program, clearly. But, since one of the things I have to say is that, having you on board to support me with my messaging, with my email marketing, with my socials has been absolutely life-changing, because it's taken off a whole level of stress and a whole level of, oh my gosh, I've got to do. So since I started working with you, it's lifted the weight off my mind. So at the beginning of every month, when I would normally schedule everything for the month ahead, I would always have this kind of like, I've got to do it. Oh my gosh, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? When am I going to say it? And we have like amazing sessions to sit and plan and forward look, at least 3 to 6 months ahead, which is so incredibly helpful. And the clarity you bring, the precision you bring to the messaging is just incredible. So what makes a good client for you? What is the right person? What's the right time for someone to reach out to work with you going forward?
Yeah, well, actually, this may surprise you. I like to get them as early as possible. And that's why I'm so excited that you've allowed me, I don't know if people listening know this, you've allowed me to come in and do a training. But it's not really training. It's not like I'm going to sit there and be like, here's my slides, here's how to, craft your message. What I asked to do actually, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity, is to come in and like actually have a conversation with each person, a short conversation about their messaging. Who are you here to help? What's the problem you solve? What's the result you create? How do you talk about what you do? What do you put in your Instagram bio, right? Like that kind of conversation with somebody, because again, as I mentioned earlier, it is very hard to figure this out for yourself. And I think if I can get in, maybe not for full, like, I'm going to be helping you with emails and I'm going to be helping you, like that might be overkill in the beginning. But if I can get 10, 15 minutes with you, or, even an hour at most, like if I can get a short amount of time where we can just like hash out your messaging to where you feel clear and confident and you're consistent and other people know what you're saying and you can say it effectively and quickly, that's going to do a lot to propel your business forward. So I'm really excited that I get to come in and do that with your students, because that's when, if I can get you then, you're going to be better off, going forward. And so then I think it's quite a while down the road before you need help with somebody actually, crafting emails and, launch strategy, if you ever get there, right? Like some people, work really well off of, referrals and having conversations with people and all of that kind of thing. And they never really get to the place where they're having events and sending lots of emails and that kind of thing. So that would definitely be a lot further down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely think that, not everyone wants to be a 6 or a 7 or an 8-figure coach either.
Right.
It's not in everyone's appetite. I definitely didn't start out thinking that I would be going down a pathway to do the work I'm doing now. I was speaking to someone earlier today and I said, I've never had a business plan. And I don't really want to admit that because I'm also a business coach and I teach people about minimum viable products and business planning and all of those good things. But the reality is that this has been an evolution. And
Yeah.
it's only now that I'm getting much more strategic about what I'm doing and how I'm moving forward and making sure the team around me are absolutely the right people to drive this forward and serve my clients as well. And I think coming from a place of service is so vital. And I think that's really uniting across all the members of my team now, because we all want to go out there and help support other people to do the best work that they possibly can and focus on the thing that they're good at rather than all the things that, are maybe not their number one thing in their wheelhouse. But we also, one of the things I message when I'm doing the Menopause Coach Diploma is that it's really important to understand how things work in your business before you outsource them. So having you come in and deliver your session with everybody to help them get up and running and understand the principles and the basics and get consistent means that they'll be set up from the most incredible starting point, which just is not normally available. So I'm so incredibly grateful to you to come along and doing that with us. So Laura, I think one of the other things that I've really become aware of is the power of coaching. I've always believed in coaching. I had coaches when I was an athlete. I had coaches in everything that I've ever done. But I can see how it's expanded my vision of the future and my belief in what I can actually do going forward. Do you see that in your clients as well?
Absolutely. I see it in my clients. I see it in my own life. Before I discovered coaching, before I, became a copywriter, I was like searching around the internet and like attending, this is so unhinged. I was like attending all these different webinars, and it didn't matter if I was interested in what the webinar was teaching. It could be teaching, I don't know, how to like catch fish. Okay. Like it doesn't, and I have no interest in catching fish. It didn't matter what the webinar was teaching. I was signing up for every webinar I could find. This was, a decade ago when everybody was hosting webinars. And I watched them on everything from fashion to finding jobs to building Instagrams. All I was trying to do was I was like, clearly these people are making money on the internet doing this thing. I can't figure out exactly how it works because they're all offering free webinars. So like, how are they actually making money? So then I would start attending them and I would start to see this pattern emerge and this pattern unfold of how they're actually doing it. And it was when I attended a webinar of, it was a marketing agency webinar. And I remember being like, gosh, I wish I had a business so that I could buy their product or service. Like, it's not like what I wanted. And then I realized I was like, I actually want to offer what they're offering. Like, I want to be part of that. And that's how I found my first mentor. Is I reached out to the person who delivered that webinar. And I said, hey, would you be my mentor? I want to do what you are doing. And so one, I am huge in the power of mentorship, but part of the reason I say that is at that time in my life, I was really just like a mom of a young kid who was like desperately trying to find a way to make money online so that I could like pick my daughter up from school and not put her in, like I just wanted to be around. And that was like the whole vision that I had for my life. And I remember thinking like, if I could just make $4,000 a month, that would be amazing, right? Like that was the entirety of the vision for my life. But coaching, fortunately, I got into the coaching industry, and coaching has a way of making you believe bigger, making you think that more is possible, making you believe more is possible, making you experience more than you ever thought was possible, a quality of life. And that's one of the things that I love that, your clients do, menopause coaching. Like there's probably a lot of women out there who are just like, oh, if only I could, get through the workday without feeling like I've lost my mind, right? And so the bar is low for like what they think is even possible for them. And then if you, then what happens is once they've worked with you, they realize like, oh, not only can I make it through the workday without feeling like a crazy person, like I can feel really good. I can have a lot of energy. I can do all the things that I still wanted to do. Like I can have a second act. I could become a coach. I could build a business. It gets them to start dreaming again and thinking more for their life. And it's something that I actually don't think is acknowledged enough is how much we don't just solve their problems. We give them this way bigger vision for their lives. It's one of the beautiful things about coaching, and it's one of the services that we do and don't acknowledge it that often.
I know, and I think I love when I have my grads on the podcast and I'm asking them, what was the biggest thing for them, and they're like, I didn't really know what to expect when I came on board. My confidence was shot. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do forward. I just know I didn't want anyone else to go through this. And then you get to the other end of the program where they're like, I've got my confidence back, and their whole demeanor has completely changed. And they're like out there and they're working with their community or they're working with their workplaces. And it's just such an incredible transformation to watch someone go through and then to go on to help other people to avoid what they've been through.
Exactly.
And it's really, really so magical.
Often I feel like I'm doing my work like for my previous self, for that version of myself that like just wanted this small little, like her small little life to just be fractionally better. And now I have that plus so much more and believe I can have so much more. It's like, I want to find her and help her, because the reality is there's still so many people in that place,
I think we're only scratching the surface. I think we're just beginning to see the magic of coaching unravel and reveal itself.
Yep.
So
again, to the point, it's not mainstream yet. It's becoming more common. It's becoming more desirable, more in demand. People are starting to wake up to the fact that it is so valuable and so life-changing, but it's not, it's not so mainstream yet. And I think about like I know so many people, I'm almost 38 and I know so many people at this stage in life that I'm at that they're starting to go, I'm not happy in my career. I don't think I want to be doing what I'm doing, but I'm so far down this road. Like I can't just start over. Like I have a mortgage. I have, I have all these things. I can't just start over, but I'm like, I know that this isn't what I want to do anymore. I'm kind of miserable in it, and I really want to do more meaningful work. Yeah. And what I love about like what you offer is it's really a clear pathway for somebody who wants to do something truly meaningful, something that truly matters, and maybe take their experience, right? Maybe take their career experience and whatever and carry that with them. So it's not like everything they've built is like lost or set aside, but they're taking that with them and they're transforming it into this bigger vision, right? This bigger vision that lets them do that work that feels really good to them.
And I absolutely concur with that, because I often say to people, you've got decades of experience under your belt, you've got decades of life skills, you've managed so many tricky situations and you've overcome all of that, you've survived, now you're thriving, and all you're doing is adding menopause coaching onto your existing skill set. It's like the cherry on the top, the icing on the cake. It's an elaboration. Is that the right word? You're the wordsmith. I'm going to ask you, it's like the enhancement, right? Yeah. It's not like you're starting over. You're just adding to your skill set, because the beautiful thing with the program is you get to keep the program and then blend it in with how you want to work, who you want to work with, and with your existing experience behind you as well. Yeah, sometimes I just pinch myself because I get to do this work, but having you support me with everything that we're doing in the copywriting space as well. And I am so excited for the workshop that's coming up, because I know that you're going to spread your magic with all the people that I'm working with and help them really focus on how to get running and take away that worry, that procrastination, that sense of overwhelm, and help them get that structured approach going forward.
Yeah.
So I am so excited to have had this time with you today. Is there anything else I haven't asked you that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, if you don't mind, there's one thing that I think might be valuable to anybody listening to this, and that is I often hear the fear of, like, okay, Laura, you help me with my messaging so I can market my business, but like, I don't want to market my business. I don't want to sound like I'm promoting things. I don't want, I have my friends and family on social media. I don't want to be, I don't want to come across as marketing-y or salesy or that kind of thing. And I was hoping to get the opportunity to speak to that because I think a lot of times that's as much the fear that stands in people's way of sharing their message with the world and sharing their work with the world. And so I want to speak to that on a couple of levels, if you don't mind.
Please.
The first one is that when you are looking for a solution to a problem, when you find somebody who's actively talking about having a solution to that problem, it doesn't feel like you're being sold. It feels like, oh, thank goodness I finally found the answer. Yeah. And I have the perfect example of this. Right now, I am, and I've shared with you, I'm actively really focused on growing on YouTube, right? Really focused on YouTube and YouTube strategy. And I have been, for like a couple of months actively seeking YouTube support, some kind of coaching, some kind of solution. I'm a big believer in, I want to invest to have guidance and support and knowledge that'll get me further faster. I'm a big believer in that. I'm having trouble finding the right person for what I want to accomplish. And I'm actively searching. I'm like Google searching, Facebook searching, Instagram searching, like YouTube coach, YouTube consultant, YouTube. Like, I'm hunting you down, because I want that support. And at the moment, I can't find the right person. Everybody I find, they help like a different niche or a different industry or something that I'm not trying to do. And it's like, when I finally find the person, I'm going to be so relieved. And none of their marketing is going to feel like marketing or promo or salesy to me. It's going to be, thank goodness you're here. Thank goodness I'm like actively going and looking to what people have to offer. What can I buy from you? I'm like wanting to know that information. I'm like hunting it down. Anytime I see somebody who anything in their profile remotely resembles, I help people with YouTube. I'm like, okay, where can I find their offers? And I hate it when I struggle to find their offers, right? Like, when I'm having to like search and hunt, I'm like, help me get your help. And so that was just the last thing that I wanted to add to this is, to the right person, you really can't be too salesy because we want the solution.
That is such a perfect example. And the fact that you're still looking for somebody, anyone listening to this, you may be too late by now, but by the time you listen to it, you never know, Laura might still be listening for you. So yeah, I think that's such a great positioning piece, because the other way I use is I say to people, like, I've trained you, you've got this qualification, you've got the experience, you've put in the hard work and effort, and you've kind of got this thing that you've kind of probably put in a box, wrapped it up, made it look really pretty, and then put it under the Christmas tree. But you didn't put a tag on it with anyone's name to say this is for you. And that's the missing piece. If you don't tell someone that you've got this gift for them, they're never going to find you. So you have to get that messaging out there. And I can't remember if I learned that from you or from someone else, but that's the way that I kind of think of people having a skill, having a gift to give to somebody. But if they don't tell anyone about it, they're never going to be able to unwrap it and benefit from it.
I promise that the person who needs that gift wants to know.
Yeah.
Wants to know you have it. Marketing at its best. Here's what I want to leave your listeners with. Marketing at its best is about spreading important messages to people who need them most.
Beautiful. What a perfect place to wrap up. Laura, thank you so much for your time today. I'm so grateful for you, for your expertise, and I look forward to a long, healthy working relationship together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me on Women of a Certain Stage. I hope today's episode inspired you to think differently about menopause and the incredible opportunities this stage of life brings. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with 3 friends who need to hear this message. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us reach even more people. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Lauren Churin, or visit our website at womenofacertainstage.com to learn more about menopause coaching, inspiring events, and corporate training. Until next time, let's continue making a difference, one conversation at a time.